Good morning everyone. Welcome to Monmouthshire Housing's 2020 AGM. 12 years since we transferred in 2008 and lots have changed. The fact that I'm doing this online is one of those strange things that have happened in the past year, but it's for everyone's health and safety. Hopefully you'll enjoy this video as much as you would have had we all been there in person looking at each other. Just on a sad note, sad to see the passing of some of our long-standing members this year, but it's great that all of you are I hope feeling well and will continue to do so for the rest of this year. We also said goodbye to some very long-standing members of staff that you're well used to seeing at the AGM. Steve Higginson retired this year and has passed over the reins to Gwyndaff Tobias, who you'll see more of later on as he presents the annual accounts. But just wish to thank Steve for all the efforts he put in over the years when he started us in 2007. Got to help get the transfer over the line, and we have gone from strength to strength, even reflected in our annual accounts this year, where turnover is 23 million just about. When we started out, our turnover was just 10 million. We had 150 staff, and now we have 250 staff with about another 100 employed through contractors. So a very important difference and growth in our base since we started out all those years ago, and Steve played an incredibly important part in that. During the last year, of course, the AGM is to the accounts ending in March 2020. We had 11 years of relative bliss in 1919, 1920, and of course it all came to a shuddering halt in March of this year. But certainly we had prepared well. Not for a pandemic necessarily, but just for new ways of working. But those new ways of working lended themselves to how we performed throughout the pandemic. We had some great new developments over the past year, particularly our slimmed down startup projects, which allowed people to downsize within our properties, but also to get a foothold in the property ladder, albeit in rented accommodation with MHA, and they've proved to be incredibly popular. We furnished their regeneration of Oakley Way, not just the demolition of the flats, but the renewal of all of the existing flats that are left beyond demolition, and building of 37 new properties down in Oakley Way in Collico, which have proved incredibly popular, and we're really proud of the way that development turned out. During the course of the pandemic, but also before, we had started a long process of changing governance within MHA. It's been an exhaustive process, but we've got to the stage now where the rule changes are there to be agreed. We've discussed them with the regulator. The regulator are happy with what we're doing. We are looking to remunerate our board members and revitalise the board with new blood and new vision and new eyes. And it's proved an incredibly popular process. We've had over 170 applicants to come on our board. We've whittled them down now to 15 at the time of making this video, which will go forward then for the available positions, the 5 available positions on the board. But we've been overwhelmed with the response, and not just the response, but the calibre of candidate who applied to come on MHA's board. And use the members and past board members should take a lot of credit for that, for making MHA such an attractive proposition for people to come and serve on our board. But speaking about investment, I think the investment that we've made in staff over the years really came to light during the pandemic, and has paid us back many times over. The staff have proved to be knowledgeable, flexible, adaptable, and performance hasn't slackened at all throughout the whole time. In actual fact, year on year goes on, we're doing more with less. We're becoming more flexible in organisation, and certainly because our view was on the future, we've been able to adapt very well to these rapidly changing circumstances. We found that our IT systems have been robust and have stood up to scrutiny, and we're improving them all the time. We had made plans to do so that we could work more agile in the coming years anyway. But we've essentially leaped forward 3, 4, even 5 years in the space of 5 months in the ways that we are now working, and we won't be going back. Things have now changed, and the way that we work, the way that you will receive services will have changed, but I absolutely believe for the better. Some of the other things that we've done starting in March is starting the tenant welfare calls. We rang every single tenant just to make sure they were okay and to make sure that anything that we could do for them was being done, and we referred many on to other agencies who could help them during these very, very difficult times. We've really embraced digital ways of working. You'll see that even more in the coming year as our tenant portal comes online, and as our IT improves, you can do more work from the comfort of your own home on your phones or on your laptops, but continue to be able to ring us if that's what you want to do in the future as well. We really feel that we led the way in Wales as regards how to respond to the pandemic. We got our services up and running quicker than anyone else, more extensively than anyone else, and back to the same level of quality in a shorter period of time than anyone else. And we're really, really proud of the way the staff have responded. Our repair service is now absolutely just about up to date with the backlog of repairs that built up in the early part of the pandemic. Our letting service is going flat out. We had continued to let properties throughout, albeit at a lower level in the early part of the pandemic, but that's absolutely back up to speed now. The interesting thing, I think, is that the actual number of bids per property hasn't declined at all. That people are learning to live with this pandemic. Their ambitions to improve their lives hasn't changed at all. So as we put properties out to let, the bids have been pouring in for those properties, and that's been very encouraging for us. I think the way that we organise the business around being a great landlord, great for the environment, great for the economy and great for people, the acronym is LEAP, has really helped us focus the way we're trying to deliver our services, and focus on what is needed to be done within our estates and on our properties, and that's really helped us through the last few months. So as I said, over the past year, for the period that we're dealing with for the AGM, lots has been done to advance services, make them more digital, building lots more new properties, over 80 properties delivered last year. We would have delivered more, only the pandemic slowed a lot of the delivery down at the very last stages. We believe that we're a leaner, smarter organisation delivering better services year on year, and that makes me incredibly proud. But we're nowhere near done. As life changes, we continue to change. I mean, the overriding memory that everyone have, though, is not of the past year, it's been of the past few months in the pandemic. But I reckon there have been quite a few bright moments in the past few months. I believe our response to the emergency has been exemplar. We've been inundated with compliments from tenants about how we have responded over the past few months. The governance changes that we started to implement last year, we haven't slowed down at all. That's continued throughout the pandemic, and we're now at this point within the AGM. Within weeks we'll have a new board with new rules, driving forward and making ourselves adaptable to changes and ready for the future. As I said, a repair service, which are very important to tenants, is just about up to date now. We've cleared the backlog. The empty properties or voids are pretty much back on target now compared to where they were, and that's despite the fact that we've had a lot of work to do in a lot of our properties. Some of them have come back in quite poor condition. The number of bids has been as high as ever, and that standard that we're doing to our properties for new lets, our void standards, which is the highest probably in the UK, we've continued with that throughout the whole of the pandemic, and it's proved very, very popular with tenants indeed. Our rent collection has remained very high, and although arrears are climbing, as you can imagine, we have found that people, even in difficult financial circumstances, are still trying to pay as much of the rent as they can, whereas many tenants are paying all of the rent that's due. And that, of course, allows us to continue to provide services and make sure that we stay financially vibrant throughout the whole time. So well done to everyone with the effort that they're making to pay the rent and the way that they've cooperated with staff, so we can help you, help us, help you. The tenancy checks have proven, as I said, very popular. Every single tenant, we made an effort to contact them, and the vulnerable tenants we continue to contact on a very regular basis, making sure that they're okay throughout and staying safe. We've made a 5-year leap, as I said, as regards to the way we're working. There will be no going back. The offices behind us here are far emptier than they used to be. We'll envisage new ways of using the offices going into the future. During the course of while the pandemic is around, only skeleton staff are in HQ, and it's not open to the public. But once we get back to a post-pandemic phase, we'll certainly be really looking hard at how we use our offices, and we'll be looking to use them even better than we did before. So the main things I think we need to understand and emphasise that we will endure, we will learn, and we will thrive, and we'll do so with all of your help. Thank you very much. Wash your hands, stay 2 meters apart, follow the guidance, and stay well. Thank you all very much, and I look forward to seeing you during the course of the year.